put it?
Whatever's comfortable, man.
Probably like here.
Whatever's comfortable.
There we go. That's a little better. Not hanging off my shirt.
But, you know, I mean, I already asked you the
Yeah.
question.
The question. Ask him though.
So,
Ask him a couple of those questions. Some of those questions. Yeah, I did an interview with him the other day.
Do you want me to look a little off to the side? Do you want me to look at you?
No, yeah, if you could just look at me,
Sure.
just like a normal conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first question would be, so how did you originally get into WCMX?
Well, it was January 2020. I'd seen a video online, and I thought it looked pretty cool. And I emailed my local skate park, asking if it was something I could try. They happened to say yes, and a few weeks later I was riding with a few people in the UK, and then unfortunately in the UK we had lockdown for about 7 months, so I then wasn't able to ride until like late in the summer, and I was able to ride again, and I just sort of fell in love with the sport.
Sorry, but who did you email? And it was where was it then you started?
It was my local skate park, so Grayson Action Sports in Manchester.
And how do you feel that once you got into WCMX, did it like help you with your or did it help you improve with your daily activities?
100%, yeah. I mean, a lot of British towns are cobblestone, small. There's curbs everywhere, so being able to just manual made a world of difference. And then being able to understand how a chair works a lot better. Just it really changed how accessible the UK was.
That's cool. How do you get better at WCMX? I mean, do you feel like you've improved a lot? Because that was only 5 years ago.
4 years.
4 years, yeah.
I think what attracted me to sport and what probably attracts a lot of people to action sports is how sort of you have to push it yourself. You have to have that want to go out and try stuff. And you kind of have to accept it's not going to be too easy. You're probably going to have to fall over, but you just got to sort of take it in stride, and you've just got to really be able to push yourself.
How did your family feel when you first wanted to get into WCMX?
Well, at the time, I got my first chair in 2019, and I'd stopped doing all the stuff I was doing at the time. I stopped going out with all my mates and that sort of stuff. So I think they were happy that I was out doing stuff and I wasn't at home. And I think they were a bit nervous I was going to get injured, but I think they realised, when you're at the skate park, obviously you do take risks, but I'm wearing a helmet, I wear pads. And I work with a coach now. We take safety pretty carefully, but they were probably a little nervous at first.
Look at my book.
Right.
Now the ones in my head.
It takes some special kind of parents, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Some of the parents that I deal with, they have the wheelie bars. Most of the kids have wheelie bars. And when you're out here, you can't have wheelie bars, man.
Nope.
They mess you up.
Yeah, we have a rule for WCMX night that most of the time we say we've got professional coaches here, everybody's had background checks, like through the thing, everybody's first aid trained, let's leave the parents up in the bar at the skate park, because we have so many parents come down when we run WCMX nights, and they're so worried about their kids getting hurt or trying anything that they never actually get to enjoy the skate park and learn how to use a skate park safely, learn skate park etiquette and that sort of stuff. So we try and usually keep the parents a little bit away, so that, or at least out of the skate park watching, so that we can make sure the kids actually do get to try the skate park.
Yeah, back to the tricks. How do you figure out how to do the certain tricks, the more advanced ones?
I watch videos online, try and figure out, roughly guess what the technique is, and then eventually it gets to the point where you've just got to try and sort of trial and error and try and figure it out, see what works and what doesn't. I work with a really good coach now, so together we're able to just watch videos and we can sort of understand roughly what the technique is. He's got a lot of experience across different sports, so he really helps me understand what the technique might be, and we can just start sort of figuring out and nailing down what the correct technique could be.
And what would be the name of some of the the tricks that you did that you were kind of nervous to do at first, and then once you did it, you're like, okay, this kind of gets the ball rolling and it built up your confidence. Do you remember any like specific trick or?
Yeah, so a trick that I really like at the minute is the skeet hand plant. Going, so you're going straight up a quarter, and you have to put your hand out in front of you and try and spin away from it. And that took a lot of time figuring it out because my coach is a scooter rider, so that's what sort of initially interested us in trying the trick. At first we were thinking about it like, okay, we're doing it on a scooter. You've got to come in with a bit of speed. You've got to throw your weight forward, almost like you're doing a front flip. You've got to let the scooter come out behind you. Well, we were thinking about it like that initially, and it makes it really difficult because you're trying to go up a quarter and get that pop. Well, you haven't got knees. You can't get that pop. So you've got to think about it differently. So we started thinking about it more like a nose 180 on a quarter. So where you go up, you're on the front wheels, and you do a 180. Okay, from there, we've kind of got the spin. Let's try and figure it out. Okay, so we put the hand on the wall. We're kind of just breathing near the wall. We're not really hand planting it. And then from there, we were able to transition from the hand. And slowly as we did it, the pop just sort of came naturally. And we were able to sort of, because we changed our perspective on it, we were able to see it in a different way. We were able to figure out the technique with it.
So how many tries do you think it took you? And how did it feel when you finally got it?
Well, we started trying it in March at Woodward, and we probably, the first day when we were initially trying to figure out how to pop, probably 60 of just jumping up a quarter head first and just sliding down. And then from there, I tried it everywhere. I eventually did a skate park in the UK, which is outside. It's got a fence with a quarter going up to it, and the fence bent and give you pop back. So we were initially trying it off that, hoping that the bounce from the fence would help. And we had loads of attempts that day. And then on the sort of, when we started to try and figure out, okay, we can swap it around, I mean, probably another 100 on that day. And then until we actually got it nice, I mean, probably another couple hundred more.
But and then once you got it, it just clicked and you were able to get it, because you're great at it now.
More or less, yeah.
It was like once you got it, you just kept getting it?
Once I figured it out, and I'd done it a few times, sort of got that muscle memory, I got it locked in my head a bit again.
Nice. But yeah, is there anything about the WCMX that you feel that was inspirational to you, or do you feel like, you know, you're an inspiration to others?
Yeah, definitely. When I started, I mean, I was watching loads of different videos. I spent, nights sat at home on YouTube just trying to find everything I could about WCMX. And obviously, loads of videos of Aaron Fotheringham came up, and then I remember I was seeing videos of guys like Fatboy or Nathan, who were both over in Pennsylvania, and they're both great riders. And then started seeing more videos from California, and then when I started in October of the same year, there was an online comp which I entered, and seeing all the different videos in that sort of was a huge inspiration of what WCMX could look like.
You hosted this year's IWS hosted the online competition, which came out really nice, man.
Yeah, we were able to do that, and then Victor needed somebody to co-host with him.
Yeah,
and
it came out super.
I said I would do it, and a few weeks later we were on a video call filming that, and we had to commentate all the runs, including 2 from the skate park.
What do you think the online competition, right? We get to see more people.
100%, yeah. I'm a really big fan of the idea of online competitions, because there's people. The WCMX community is so global. There's people in the States, there's people in Australia, all over Europe. There's guys down in Brazil. People can't fly to a competition in America every year. That gets expensive for a lot of people. It's not easy, and especially when you're not sponsored. So, whereas with the online, anybody can enter from anywhere in the world. If you look at that event from 2020, there's people from Australia, people from all over Europe who had never entered before, myself included. And that was like, I've entered this comp, I know I've actually got a chance of doing something fun here, something interesting. And that initially sort of jumped the spark in becoming a comp rider for me. And the amount of people that started with that online comp and then were able to grow into great professional riders. That was the first comp I did. That was the first comp that Emilio from Switzerland did. It was one of the earlier comps of someone like Lorraine. So many people got into WCMX because of those online events and the online community. And I think if we can push that and really allow that to grow the sport, I think it could be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, you basically answered my next question about how you can expand this into the future. But yeah, did you ever? I mean, were there some failures that you had in WCMX where you kind of were frustrated with it and tired of it, or?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah,
all the time.
It's one of those things where, you know, if you're not landing a trick, it can get pretty frustrating when you're just there trying it. It gets difficult. You know, and it's one of those things where sometimes it's like you've just got to call it a day, and you've got to know, right, I'll come back next time, you know, with a Red Bull in hand and a clearer mind. But it can. There's definitely sometimes where you're like, why the hell am I doing this right now? But I think once you finally land that trip, you kind of realise why you've spent all that time. It's kind of like, it's like a roller coaster of emotions. You go from like being scared to a bit pissed off to, oh my god, I'm almost going to land it. Right, one more try. Bloody landed it. Here we are. I posted it on Instagram, you know, and I'm over the moon. And it's like, you know, when you get that adrenaline rush of actually landing it and being able to, you know, get the bragging rights or whatever for it, that's kind of what makes the whole thing worth it.
That fear is right there on the tip of it. Always.
Oh yeah.
There.
And it's like
you don't feel it no more. Do you feel it?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Do you still feel it?
Yeah, I always see that.
I mean, some of the bigger riders, I know they don't feel it as much.
Oh no way. I'll always feel it. I know, like, people always ask me in these interviews, like, oh my god, you're so brave. How'd you do all this stuff? And I'm like, you haven't seen me at the skate park when I've got to try something freaking out. I am like the biggest wuss you've ever seen. I hate trying things. You know, it's like always like my coach is going, alright Tom, you've prepared for it, you just gotta try it. Come on man, just give it a go. I hate doing it, but I don't know. Eventually you figure out a way around it. You sort of there's this kind of moment where you realise you're gonna try it, and you get like we call it like you get like send it headspace, and it's like that switch has been flipped, and it's like, okay, you start not being able to hear the music in the skate park. You can't see those people around. You get like tunnel vision, and all you're thinking about is trying that trick. You get your heart rate's going. And you're like, you breathe in. You can't think about anything other than that trick, and eventually you're not that wall that was in front of you just isn't anymore, and you can just go. I haven't figured out how you get there yet, and it just happens when it happens, and when it does, you try and take the opportunity, and yeah.
That's great. I think you got it. But is there any tricks that you're working on that something that you want to plan to do in the future?
I mean, we have a book, and it's just full of different tricks that are on like the list of what we'd like to try, and you know, whether we'll get them this year, whether we'll get them next year, whether we'll never get them, I don't know, but they're on the list, and we're slowly checking tricks off. But I know like there's so many tricks that we're really wanting to push at the minute. So scooter hand bump is something that we're able to get off that, and we want to progress that. And then just before I flew out here to the States, we've got a trick called a fork stall, which we're really happy about. That's where you go up a quarter and you throw your weight forward, and you actually stall on the concave of the fork above the front wheel. And they're really sketchy because it locks in on the foot plate, and you kind of can't back out until the chair falls. So they're pretty scary, but it's definitely something that I think would be super interesting to push and learn how to add that into combos. So maybe being able to do a nose 180 to fork stall, or fork stall to 50, fork stall to blunt, things like that. Like that would be really interesting for like comps and stuff. Because right now, like, we're trying to figure out how to grow combos on stall tricks. Because any stall trick where you have to come out fakie, most of the time isn't very useful in a comp, unless there's an opportunity where you can cab out or, you know, gain more speed back. They're usually they're more of a hindrance than they are a gain in terms of points. So figuring out how to grow those combos and how to grow those opportunities.
And so now that you're, expert level or first place, are you also coaching or showing other people how to do stuff?
Yeah, 100%. So we run a few different organisations here in America and back home, and every month in the UK we have a WCMX night where people can come and try it. They pay, I think it's £10 entry fee into the skate park, and there is a wheelchair available to use. You don't have to pay for the wheelchair, it's there anytime the skate park is open, and you can come and try it. We have a few coaches at Greystone Action Sports that are trained in WCMX, and then there's myself and my coach Ben, and we're there every month that we can be, and we're always coaching people and we're always doing stuff, and we just want to keep growing it and keep pushing it.
How does that feel though, coaching somebody that's never tried it before, or is there anything that you've learned from coaching?
I'll be honest, it's pretty scary, because you're responsible for their safety to a point, and it's like when you're trying it, you know your own limits. All right, if I can take this fall, it's not going to hurt that bad. If you've got somebody that's like brand new to using a wheelchair, it's like, okay, I've got to be a bit more careful here. But I've learned a lot about coaching. My coach has worked with me and taught me, and like just figuring out, you've just got to make it as simple as possible. The more things you say at a person, the more complicated it is, the harder it is for them to just focus and get it done. So we say there's 3 elements to every trick. So let's say it's I don't know, whatever trick we say. So looking here in the park, say it's a 50. So we go off a ramp. Okay, what are your 3 elements to that 50? Okay, you want to make sure you're coming in straight. You're going to come in with a lot of speed, and as you go over the edge, you want to make sure you have your weight slightly forward. Alright, at that point, you've come in with good speed, so you're going to have to go down. You're straight, so you're not going to fall off. And as long as your weight's forward, then you're probably not leaning right or left, so you're probably also not going to fall off. At that point, the chair's going to do the rest for you. So as long as you do those 3 main things, you'll probably land the trick. So you're just trying to keep everything sort of as simple as possible. And there's so many different things, but we're currently working on a coaching guide. My coach Ben, he's taking a focus on that. That we're going to be able to work and take to skate parks and say, okay, you want to coach WCMX? Here is a coaching guide. This is going to show you how to run everything. It's going to teach you how to make sure you can have successful sessions. In the UK we have Skateboard GB and British Cycling, and they both have their own accreditations for coaches, the SBGB and the BC one. And if we can have it so that you can come from never coaching before and learn ours as well, like they do, but also have one that's set up so, okay, you've had the SBGB accreditation, you've had that BC accreditation, right? But you only need to learn a bit more about wheelchairs to get up to speed, so let's do that for you. And being able to, make sure that skate parks know how to work with people wanting to try WCMX. Because for skate parks, I can understand it's pretty nerve-wracking for them. They're worried, they don't know how to coach WCMX. They've probably never seen anybody do it before. They're also probably worried about the legal aspect. If someone gets hurt in a skate park in a wheelchair, what does that mean for them and their insurance? So being able to work with them and make sure that the skate park is happy and comfortable with it, it just means when a WCMX rider shows up to the skate park, they're going to have a 10 times better experience, and that's all that matters, really.
So any questions you had, or think I missed anything?
No, man. I think I just learned a lot. You're an athlete, and you're an athlete on a journey, and you're a professional athlete at this point. So, what I like to ask professionals, just that gives me some information. You can talk to Evan for the answer, just for eye-lines and stuff like that. But Evan, maybe you ask him the question, but it's always, what do you need most now on your journey as an athlete, and what did you need the most when you first started out? So, if you want to ask him those questions, I'm just curious to know on your, as a professional athlete, what your needs are now versus when you first started out.
Yeah, well, there's always the aspect of, you always need to be practicing. I think just riding as much as possible, no matter where you are in becoming an athlete, just practicing and training is the biggest thing. The more you do something, the better at it you are going to be. But I think the biggest thing for myself and a lot of people when they start is access to the chairs. The chairs are pretty expensive, so being able to actually get a chair and be able to ride a skate park is huge, and that's the main difficulty. And then for me now, where I'm at, I'm a professional athlete. I ride every day. I run my own company to try and keep my own bills going. But other than that, I don't make any money from WCMX. I was sponsored, but unfortunately the company who was sponsoring me got bought out by another company who decided to stop doing marketing in the UK. So I'm now not sponsored. I have to pay for it all myself, and that's probably the hardest challenge right now. The chairs are not cheap. I'm very lucky that I get those for free working with Tom Finch. But other than that, these helmets are 180 to 300 pounds every time you need a new one. You break it. Pads probably 100 pound, 50 pound. Gloves are 25 pound every month. When you're riding as much and as hard as I am, it adds up pretty quickly. And that's before you start talking about flights and accommodation for competitions, which, you know, can be huge costs, especially when going to places like, you know, Switzerland and places like that. So I'd say probably the biggest thing right now for me is just the funding to make sure I can keep going and riding as hard as I am.
Is there anything you wanted to talk about that I didn't ask?
I can talk about how we're starting the foundation.
Sure.
Yeah, so we've been running events in the UK now for 2 years, which is a bit mad to say actually, but we've been running events now for 2 years, and we've done 2 events here in the States in Grand Prairie, and that was in partnership with the Texas Governor's Office, and we're really happy to do that. But you know, America, you know, a bit of a cliche or whatever, but it's the land of opportunity. You know, there's so many opportunities here to grow the sport, and for WCMX, even for me personally and my family, it makes sense that this is where the focus on growing the sport needs to be. So we are now opening a foundation here at 501c3, and we're going to open that up, and we're going to hopefully, you know, go across the country. We want to work with organisations like Tony's and Ability Skateboarding, and all the different organisations that are there, and we want to just work with as many people as possible and just grow the sport.
Cool. Yeah, no, I hope to see it grow too. Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot. But yeah, the Ability Skates, is that close to you or no?
He's in San Antonio, so it's only like an hour away.
Oh, okay.
So but he runs events all across Texas. So we were in Houston with him the other week, and then they're doing an event in San Antonio next week, and then he works with another organisation called Kinetic Kids, and we were with them in Castroville, which is a small town, about half an hour south of San Antonio, and that was pretty cool. They had a Discovering Disabilities Day, so they have people come in